Hello there. You come here often? You know, green happens to be my favorite color. Barkeep. Milk. 2%. Hello friends, welcome back to the show. So glad to see you all once again. And if you're new here, thank you for stopping by. I think this is the show that you might enjoy. If you're like me and grew up on cartoons from the 80s and 90s, well, this is the place. We're going back and looking at all those cartoons episode by episode. Well, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them episode by episode, and talking about them from the perspective of being an adult now as a child that grew up in the 90s and 80s. 80s. So if this sounds like you, then hop below, hit the subscribe button, click the like, thumbs up button while you're at it, because I think you're going to like this, because right now we're working our way through a series talking about the new Batman adventures. And today we're talking about the episode Chemistry, which originally aired on October 24th, 1998. You know, we've talked about in the series how this new Batman Adventures kind of focuses on different characters throughout the stories. And this one is very much more of a Bruce Wayne focused story than Batman, which makes for kind of a different sort of element. We don't get to see a lot about Bruce Wayne's personal life or Batman's personal life and how he responds to his duties as what he does in his, it's always referenced in these episodes that he has to go to the office or go to this meeting or go to a party or whatever. But this one really kind of dives and spends a little bit more time in Bruce Wayne's personal life. But we'll talk all about that right after our 60-second Joker Bomb rundown of the episode. See if I can give you the complete synopsis of the episode in 60 seconds or less before that bomb explodes. Bruce Wayne is at the wedding of Veronica Vreeling. While he's there, he meets this lovely young lady, Susan, and they start kind of hitting it off and dancing and things like that. And while then he checks up with her later and they go out on this nice date and he asks her to marry him. And then the rest of the Batman crew is going, well, what's this mean for Batman? And he goes, I'm no more. I'm not going to be Batman. So while they are at the wedding, he gets a call from Veronica and she goes, oh, something's going on with Michael, my new husband. You got to check this out. And then she hangs up because he attacks her. And so Bruce Wayne goes, hey, you got to let me get out of this and I got to go check up. He goes to check up on her, finds out that something happened and the building is on fire. And then he tells Michael that, something's going on to keep an eye on her, but she said that Michael's the problem. And so he's going on his honeymoon. He told Robin and Batgirl to watch in on her. And then he's off on his honeymoon. And we find out that Poison Ivy is behind this, and Michael is a plant creature, and she's got other plant creatures that are out there. And then it turns out that on this honeymoon, there's a lot to this episode, I'm finding. Anytime you deal with people marrying plants, it gets confusing. While he's on this ship of this honeymoon, then we see that there's other people that are also married to very accommodating and understanding spouses, and Batman gets suspicious, Bruce Wayne gets suspicious and finds out that his spouse, along with everybody else on the ship, are plant people. And so when the Poison Ivy arrives with Michael, the plant person, guy, then they're going to take everybody's wealth, and because they have the heirs of of all these people's fortunes and the plant people. And so Batman and Robin and Batgirl swoop in and stop them. I think that's it.
It's like his mind is somewhere else tonight.
So yes, in this episode, we spent a lot of time with Bruce Wayne. And in fact, the whole first part of this episode is Bruce Wayne at this wedding with Tim Drake and Barbara Gordon. I think it's there too. Yeah.
There's my ride. See you, Barb.
And then we see how Bruce Wayne's personal life can affect him as Batman. Usually we see it the other way around, where being Batman affects Bruce Wayne's personal life. But here, he's at this wedding, he falls in love. I get it, he's under the spell of Poison Ivy's juice or whatever. But still, he's so enraptured by this woman that he met that it now bleeds over and affects him as Batman.
Did you hear me? Are you listening?
And usually it's the opposite, which I think it was neat to see that kind of different dynamic in there, because when you take Batman, he is two people. He's Batman and he's Bruce Wayne. So that comes with all the pluses and minuses that go therewith.
I said there were 4 of them, remember? 4!
But I do think it was kind of a throwaway in the sense that they have Batman and Robin out on and I get that they were just illustrating that fact in that scene, but we see them just out on patrol and taking down some petty thieves at this I think it's a jewelry store or some sort of store, pawn shop or something. And they go in and take them out. And one of them almost gets the upper hand on Batman. I think it's a great opportunity that they were able to throw in some of the less severe crimes that Batman and Robin are on. But it would have been neat if they were in the middle of some other case with the Riddler or Penguin, or, he's our go-to throwaway villain. Or if it somehow looped back around with Poison Ivy. Maybe they were taking down Poison Ivy, getting some chemicals or something for this experiment to tie it in. But I don't know if that would have worked. It was a great reveal to find out that it was Poison Ivy behind this all along. Anyway, I don't know the point. I lost track of what point I was trying to make, but
I've heard that said before.
We've seen this scene done a number of times where Bruce Wayne gives up the Batman mantle or is thinking about it or doesn't want to. But there was something about this scene when he's telling the Batman family what he's about to do, and they're questioning, well, how's that going to fit in with Batman?
I'm not going to be Batman anymore.
Something about the way that was done and the music, it just gave me chills. And again, it's one of those things that's a trope that we've seen multiple times, but there's something very chilling about knowing that Batman is such an integral part of Bruce Wayne. So to hear him needing to or wanting to separate the two, it's a very chilling moment to see Bruce Wayne, Batman, getting to that point.
How you gonna keep it from her?
But truthfully, this episode, as we go through this, has a great mystery that we see all this happening, and the way that it's laid out, there's very few little cookie crumbs breadcrumbs? Cookie crumbs. That's the way breadcrumbs that are left for us as an audience to kind of unravel this mystery. It's a great mystery because you don't realize it's a mystery. I mean, obviously there's going to be a story here, but as the episode starts rolling out, we just see, Bruce Wayne fell in love and is going to get married. And yeah, it's kind of expedited. My assumption was that they were cutting elements out. They weren't going to show time lapses of all these dates that they went on, but maybe that's not necessarily the case. That may have been their first date outside of the wedding that he's proposing to her. So yeah, that was a little suspicious, and him wanting to quit is a little suspicious, but by all accounts, it feels like, he's getting married. He's making this choice. He wasn't in a trance walking around.
It's called happiness.
Whatever it is, I like it.
And then he gets this mysterious call from Veronica at his wedding and has to run out and go see what's going on there. But again, it's almost a red herring because you're not suspecting, again, that anything's going on between Bruce and Susan, but you're going, what's happening with Veronica? That's the real mystery. And then you see how they're tied together. It was just a great unraveling of the mystery in this story.
Well, that's another mystery then.
I also really like how this story kind of picks up where we left off with Home and Garden. We got to see Poison Ivy in that episode trying to create these plant babies. That was really creepy. And now we see the next phase of that she has now perfected this formula and is able to create these people that are plants and can function, and is she's stuck to this one method of trying to gain all these riches and power by creating plant people, and this is the next phase of that.
Just the way I planned it.
It's like she was on the right track. It just fell apart there, and it was like phase 1 of this plan. And here she's obviously spent time working on it and developing this formula even better, and she gets even a little bit further with it. And oftentimes we see supervillains have a plan, put a lot of time, research, money, effort into this. It fails, and then they go back to the drawing board, completely new plan. And here we get to see the tenacity of Poison Ivy to go, this plan's going to work. Let me work on it and perfect it a little bit more.
I don't have as much time as I thought.
Not unlike Home and Garden, this is a pretty creepy episode. And when Poison Ivy pulls the skin off of the Michael, that's just horrific. I mean, it could have been much bloodier, but it's really disturbing to see that. And I think Tim Drake's response to that is pretty much what we were all thinking. And as the series is winding down, we only have a few more episodes of the new Batman adventures. This episode actually marks the last appearance of Lauren Lester as Dick Grayson in the DC animated world. And I haven't talked a lot about him on the show, but you know, when you think of the animated series and you think of Robin, you think of Lauren Lester, and I didn't realize that he doesn't appear later in the series as Dick Grayson. We've talked about it in Robin's Reckoning and Old Wounds, how some of the emotional value of the stories between Dick Grayson and Bruce Wayne and Batman Robin, those kind of at odds against each other. I mean, that is, you know, yes, Kevin Conroy is carrying his side of that, but we really get to see a great performance from Robin by Lauren Lester. So it was, when I was researching this episode, it was a little sad to find out that this was the last appearance of Lauren Lester playing Dick Grayson in the DC animated series. And it's a little sad that even in this episode, he only appears as Dick Grayson. He's not Nightwing, I don't think.
I'm saying he'll have the costume on again in a month.
Tremendous actor, tremendous performance as Robin. And but as the series is winding down, we're going to see more and more of those last appearances as we go along.
There's just one problem. That.
So when it comes time to rank this episode, it's pretty good. I mean, the mystery is great. It deals with a new element of Batman that we haven't seen, a non-traditional kind of story focusing on Bruce Wayne and how the life of Bruce Wayne affects the career as Batman. And it's really well executed and a lot of great elements in that. And truthfully, pretty creepy. Again, I'm not a huge fan of Poison Ivy, so once the mystery was revealed, the episode kind of just turns into a battle, and her whole plan of just wanting to get all the riches and power from these people is a well thought out plan, and she certainly puts a lot of effort into it, but was not as big or grand as some of the other stories in that rank a little higher than this episode. So taking all those things into consideration, this episode falls at the number 9 spot of my favorite episodes so far. Still in the top 10, we only have a few episodes left, so this may stay in the top 10 for me because it's a really, really solid episode, but it's not an iconic episode. It's not one of those episodes that I feel like is talked about a lot or remembered really well. When you look at it, it's good, and so it's just kind of rounding out the top 10 spot so far. It does fall just below The Demon Within because as much as that's kind of an offshoot from the traditional Batman episodes, it's pretty fun to watch. And I think the aesthetic of the magic and Etrigan in there and the way that plot kind of rolls out is more engaging to watch than just a bunch of plant people running around. Just being honest. But it does beat out Never Fear, which I think is kind of in that same vein, where it's kind of a neat mystery, a different take on what's going on, and Bruce Wayne kind of having to infiltrate this mystery of why these people don't have any fear. So this one, they're really close, but this one just edges it out just barely.
So long, cheapskate.
So this raises an interesting question in the DC world. How many times has Batman, Bruce Wayne, been engaged or married in the comic books? I mean, none of them last, certainly, but he's certainly had some steady relationships in the comic books and in the 80 years of Batman history. But that's an interesting trivia question. If anybody knows the answer, how many times has Bruce Wayne been engaged or married? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this episode, then please click the like button. If you want to see more episodes like this, then just hit subscribe. I have new episodes coming out every Tuesday and Thursday. And next up, we have the episode Judgment Day. So you don't want to miss that. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'm Andy Knode, and I'll see you soon.